Good morning, everyone. Welcome and thank you for coming to the memorial for September 11th. Please, we're going to have the cadets present the colors. And now please join me in the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. And let's observe a moment of silence for all of the lives that were lost during September 11th, all the families that lost loved ones, all the first responders, and all of the people that have passed since. Thank you. And at this point, I'd like to introduce Reverend Daniel Levine. He's the pastor of the Fishkill Methodist Church.
Let us take time in prayer. O God, our hope and refuge, in our distress we come quickly to you. Shock and horror of that tragic day have subsided, replaced now with an emptiness, a longing for an innocence lost. We come today remembering those who lost their lives in New York, Washington, D.C., and Pennsylvania. We are mindful of the sacrifice of public servants who demonstrated the greatest love of all by laying down their lives for their friends. Once again, we commit their souls to your eternal care and celebrate their gifts to a fallen humanity. We come remembering and we come in hope, not in ourselves, but in you. As the foundations we once thought secure have been shaken, we are reminded of the illusion of security. In commemorating this tragedy, we give you thanks for your presence in our time of need, and we seek to worship you in spirit and in truth, our guide and guardian. Amen.
Everyone who's old enough to remember September 11th remembers exactly where they were and what they were doing during the terrible terrorist attacks. We remember watching in horror as the Twin Towers fell. We witnessed an attack on the Pentagon and a plane crash in Shanksville, Pennsylvania. We heard stories of ultimate bravery and terrible tragedy, as we never knew before on American soil. We also remember our country coming together like never before. We came together in strength. We came together in patriotism. And we will never forget September 11th. We must continue to help future Americans to understand our history. We must continue to remember the lesson of patriotism and unity that came out of the tragedies of September 11th. That we Americans, despite our many differences, can come together out of love for our country during a time of crisis and every day. God bless America. And now we will have the placement of the memorial wreath by Village PBA Officer Bill Bowers, Vice President of the PBA. Thank you. And now Reverend Daniel Levine will come back up to offer our benediction.
May our lives honor the lives of all who have been lost, all who have suffered in the wake of this terrible day that we remember. May we honor them with our eagerness to work for a world in which our lives are not swallowed up in the violence, but in which we are set free to be the people God means us to be. God has not placed us at each other's mercy, but in each other's care. May the Spirit of God enlighten us, transform us, and lead us into new life. Amen.
And now the cadets retire the colors. Thank you. And thank you everyone for coming here today. It's really important that we continue to mark this day every year so that we can remember and also future generations can remember so that our history will remain in everybody's mind and that September 11th will never be forgotten. Thank you.
You know what it is? It's just they have to buy them. They don't want to donate them, but they raise them like medical raisins.
The lady in the pink, the lady in the stripe.
Well, if they take the pumpkins, then they gotta do something else. They'll come up with something.
My name is Ozzy Alba. I'm the supervisor of the town of Fishkill. Today we honor the 22nd anniversary of 9/11. Councilman Brian Rye will begin the ceremony.
Presentation of colors by our cadets, please. Pledge allegiance
to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
A moment of silence, please, for this horrendous act on 9/11, remembering all who served us valiantly on that day and who have unfortunately lost their lives from illness after the event. Thank you. Now we will have Cadet Winter Ross lowering the flag to half-staff. We are now privileged to listen to remarks from our next generation of leaders. Winter Ross will make a few remarks on behalf of the cadets.
For all those of this nation, significance of September 11th, 2001 is a constant presence in our lives, despite some of us not having witnessed it firsthand. This date, soaked in the tears of loss, the flames of destruction, and the unification born from adversity, serves as a metaphor for the resilience of the human spirit for all generations. It reminds us not only of the courage of the many men and women who gave their lives in order to protect the innocent, but that even in the face of unimaginable tragedy, hope can emerge. It whispers a solemn truth, a truth that resonates through those of all ages, that in our unified vulnerability, we find our shared humanity, which breeds strength and unity like no other. In closing, Let those of more modern generations not merely remember 9/11 as something in the history books, but what is all recalled as a symbol of our capacity to endure, to rebuild, to stand shoulder to shoulder in the face of adversity. In its significance, may we find the strength to leave a future marked by peace, compassion, and unity for all. Thank you.
Thank you very much. I know we probably should save our applause to the end, but that was magnificent, Cadet Ross. Thank you so much. Now, on behalf of our Veterans Committee, a few remarks by our Chair, Virgil Capillari.
I'd like to thank everyone for coming out today. Councilman Ryan for helping put this together, Fishkill Town Board, and especially our cadets. Thank you. 22 years ago, this country was rocked and shocked by evil. May we never forget the lives of those who were tragically murdered, or the heroes who, without fear, but out of love, raced into the buildings, raced through the rubble to try to preserve what we have. To put things in context, 8 emergency medical technicians, 60 police officers, 343 firefighters, and 2,997 civilians. Let September 11th, 2001 be used as an example for adversity, strength, bravery, and heroism. To the heroes of Flight 93, who sacrificed themselves for others, we will never forget. And to the 343 firefighters who rushed to the scenes, selflessly to save others, we will never forget. To citizens like Wellis, Crowther, who instead of evacuating from the South Tower of the World Trade Center, helped others evacuate. I will never forget. Many people will remember September 11th as a day of evil, but it should also be remembered at a time when a country united afterwards and came together. Remember stories like Wellis, whose courage and sacrifice is needed now more than ever. The easiest thing is to label somebody on some perceived other side as the enemy, instead of your brother, your sister, your family. I say this with all my brothers and sisters in arms, both past and present. If we don't unite and come together sooner, not only will the memory of this day be lost, but we will be doing the evil work of bin Laden free of charge. Let's not make that happen. Thank you, and God bless this nation.
You hear it? I have just a couple of brief remarks. On the heels of Cadet Ross and Virgil, I think that they pretty much summed it up. I certainly want to thank our cadets for being here, our representatives from our police department that are here. I thank all the veterans that have come today and all the other dignitaries and citizens. You're really showing your dedication to the country. And this is a nation, remember, we are the oldest existing democracy, continuous democracy on the face of the earth, America, okay? And the only way that we can continue to stand is coming together. And today is a great example of how we all love America. We all put our political differences, religious differences, our infighting aside, and look at us today. We're here celebrating the great country that we all want to preserve. And I thank you all for attending. And now I'd like to turn it over to our town supervisor, Ozzy Albright.
Thank you, Brian. Do we have any active 9/11 personnel? I see one here. Can you come up and stand with me, sir? Mr. Lamb, you served in 9/11? Come up here. Thank you for your service. Appreciate it. Thank you for your service, Mr. Lamb.
Yes, sir.
These two gentlemen served at 9/11. Can we give them a round of applause, please? Our program today is one of the most iconic images of the September 11th attacks, which is in the background of this. 3 firemen covered in dust and debris stand at ground zero and raise the American flag on a staff which has fallen among the other debris from the Twin Towers. Just to point out, this medal here indicates that scene right there. More than 20 years later, it is this image more than any other which embodies the spirit which came over our country on that day and the spirit of the heroic American first responders who raced into the burning buildings. 366 of them never came out. This image is iconic because in spite of the tragedy unfolding around them, these 3 men stopped to send a message of America's resilience, determination, our endless capacity to rise above. As a nation, we rose from the ashes of 9/11, thanks to these 3 men and the countless others who came to Ground Zero and the Pentagon to clean up and rebuild. We still mourn nearly 3,000 of our fellow citizens lost on 9/11, but as we remember the tragedy that took place, we must also remember that while we were shaken, we were not beaten. We were knocked down but knocked out. With this great American spirit, we live on the knowledge we will never be defeated. Do you want to say something?
Good morning. My name is Paramedic Joseph Flores with the New York City Fire Department. I have 30 years with the city, and I hold the World Trade Center Survival Medal. Some people say I never wish to see another 9/11 again, but I would love to see more September 12th. I just want to read a poem to you guys. It's called the 343. Ask any firefighter, and he will say, and the brothers all agree, we know that day, and it won't go away, when we lost our 343. Where were you when the towers came down? The cry was heard throughout the years. Where were you when the Twin Towers fell, and we realized our worst fears? An old man said to a young boy he met, my daddy was a firefighter, and he died that day, but I still pray for him nightly. The old man moved on, and he found a young little girl, and he asked the same question of her. She answered so slowly, I don't think I know, for you see, I wasn't born yet, sir. But ask any firefighter, ask any responder, and he will know the day, the time, and the year. For those who fight smoke and fire, for those who put their lives on the line every day, we know that day, and it won't go away, when we lost our 343. So when you see a fire truck speeding by, manned with men who are fighting, or officers responding to a call, railing their sirens in the middle of the night, that seems so far away, just pause a moment and say that silent prayer. Thank you very much.
Yeah, first I'd like to say is I'm going to whack my buddy Ozzy here for not telling me he's going to pull me up. So, I guess all I can do is talk about memories.
I don't think so.
My name, I'm sorry. I'm a retired sergeant with the New York City Police Department over 20 years. I was a narcotics investigator, and I'm a first responder to 9/11. The morning of 9/11, I was on vacation with my lovely wife and 2 children in Fishkill, where I've been a resident for 34 years. I love this town. That's the first thing I want to say. But more importantly was that day, as soon as the first plane hit, my wife said, my God, did you see that? As our whatever was on TV was cut in. I said, yes. I said, it was not an accident. I work with the intelligence division at One Police Plaza. I know an accident. This was no accident. She said, okay. She got up and I thought she was upset. But instead, she grabbed my to-go bag and said, I'll see you when I see you. I grabbed my children, I kissed them, and told them Daddy will be back as soon as he could. I arrived about 2.5 hours later at 9/11, after the second plane had done its damage to 767. We lost that day, in my opinion, 2,977 heroes. People that were victims and those that gave their life willingly. I do not count the terrorists in that number. I wish we could all come together, but I will never forgive what was done. We were attacked on our soil, viciously, cruelly, and the innocent were attacked. This was not a military attack. everyone here that wasn't old enough to remember remembers Pearl Harbor, remembers the horrors of what has happened to the innocent and the poor. I lost a lot of friends that day. Firemen, police. It was a very difficult time. That evening I was at 9/11. We could not see. The smoke and debris was too thick. The burning was too intense. We did arm in arm, hoping to find survivors or any sounds of anything that was living. We did not. Within the next several days, when allowed, and when we could, we volunteered or were assigned onto the pile, which meant you dug by hand with a bucket in the burning sand with no protection and no face mask, in the hopes that someone was alive on the 4 stories below the towers, which most people didn't know, and no heavy equipment could be used because that would have crushed them in. The reason why I'm giving this type of thing, it's a vivid detail to me. It's like when I met President Bush there, when I met Rudy Giuliani there. The flag that went up that day, as you so eloquently spoke of, gentlemen, was something that brought life back to us, and there is no way that I could relay to you the horrors of the next 9 months that I spent there. The last day I was there was June 6th, the next year. I was there for 9 months. I lived there in the Kwanzaa hut. I slept in the building of the Twin Towers, what was left of it, the rubble. We had no idea we were breathing poison. Those comrades of mine that I go to funerals to every year till today had no idea what they were doing. All that we knew was it was our duty and we were going to do it. And if we could find one person alive, we had succeeded. We unfortunately did not. There were unsung heroes out there, and I say this every time anyone asks me. I would come off a pile, I'd be filthy wet, soaking with debris and things. My hands would literally be blistered and burnt. The unsung heroes were from Tennessee, Arkansas, Nebraska, places I would never expected. That as soon as I left that barrier, washed me down like a baby, put oil and salve on me, and made sure they took every bit of clothing off me and reclothed me with new stuff because they knew it was poisonous. And they didn't care if they took a chance. Those are unsung heroes. America is a great country. Our people are great. Never forget that. I don't care what they throw at us. We will survive and we will succeed. Thank you.
Amen. Like that. Thank you, gentlemen. Before we retire our colors, I just want to say special thanks to the Verplank Garden Club for this magnificent work around the 9/11 Memorial. Thank you very much, ladies. Sergeant Murtaugh, retire the colors, please. Detail, forward. Thank you all for coming. Never forget 9/11 and God bless America. Bye-bye.